What is tunneling in Dead by Daylight? Is it toxic? Is it a bannable offense? Is it even real? In this DbD 101 video, I'm going to explain one of the game's most controversial tactics. If you've played DbD enough, you've probably seen the claims that someone was tunneling or getting tunneled in the game, but you might not know what that means. Basically, tunneling is when the killer specifically targets the same person in a match over and over until they're out of the game. It includes ignoring other survivors in favor of continuing chase with that specific player. Now, to me, there are basically two kinds of tunneling: purpose and accidental. You can see new players unintentionally target the same person over and over again because, unfortunately, when a survivor is grabbed off hook, they basically leave two trails behind: blood pools and scratch marks. This makes them much easier to track than fully healthy survivors who also don't have the effect of moaning like injured players do. This is also why you generally see tunneling referred to as a low-level strategy, because players are following the obvious marks of where survivors are instead of looking for things like crows flying off in the distance or generator noise. Because, fun fact, if you play the game long enough, you can actually start to estimate the progress on a generator by the sound it makes. I also consider this a low-level strategy because the better you get at the game, you shift your focus from survivors to generators. Now, what I mean by this is when you first start off learning killer, it's really easy to get tunnel vision on survivors. You get really dedicated to chases, which in turn can cost you time on generators. When you start to learn like when to break chase in favor of applying pressure to generators, you can become much more effective as a killer. But this is a skill that takes time to learn. This is also why I tell newer killers, don't ever chase a survivor who eggs you on unless you are absolutely sure you can take them down. Because survivors will try to take aggro if they're confident they can waste a killer's time. Wasting the killer's time means more generators get finished and the chance of everyone getting out goes up. But is this strategy toxic? Now, if you asked 2022 Rebel, I would have said absolutely it is. Because as a survivor, it can be really frustrating to get tunneled in the game. You don't feel like you have a chance to reset, you don't feel like you have a chance to attempt any of the objectives, and a lot of players, taking chase isn't their favorite part of the game. In fact, I think a lot of players forget the chase meta wasn't really a thing in the beginning. It's something that's come out as the game has evolved and as the player base has grown. Now, do I think tunneling is toxic now? Not really. I still personally find it annoying, but when you get into higher MMRs, you find out it's not as prevalent of a strategy anymore, and you start to learn why people tunnel, and you realize that most people aren't actually doing it to piss off the other side. And for me, that last part is a big thing that determines whether or not like something is toxic. Now, the big question is tunneling bannable in DbD. So this argument actually comes from a line in DbD's bannable offenses list, which is, quote, targeting specific users repeatedly in order to ruin their game experience, which a lot of people understandably think sounds like tunneling. Now, I hate this line because the devs have clarified on a couple of occasions to mean targeting people across matches. This is damn near impossible to do unless you're hacking, which is a separate bannable offense. Like, the only way you're going to be able to target someone in back-to-back matches is if this game somehow matches you together. There's not even a way to tell the game you have a preference to play with certain players, let alone have any way to target them in matchmaking. So this line in the bannable offenses list is just almost impossible to make happen without partaking in some already other bannable actions. It's redundant to me. Even if you queue up at the exact same time in the same server as your target, there is no way to guarantee you get them in the match. And according to previous statements from the developers, it has to be like back-to-back or at least multiple times in a day to count towards this bannable offense. So like, it's so impossible to do. I understand why people think tunneling is a bannable offense, but the developers have come forward and said point blank, tunneling in a match is not a bannable offense. But these are the basics around tunneling in DbD. Are there any other concepts or mechanics you'd like to see covered in my DbD 101 series? Leave your answers in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more DbD content, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel.